Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now November 5th of 2023, and given that South Park joining the Panderverse is really skyrocketing right now on Paramount Plus with tons of repeat viewings and new subscribers joining, of course, everything related to Paramount Plus, and everything also the fact that Trey Parker and Matt Stone are doubling down on really taking advantage of Disney's failure throughout all of 2023 and beyond to create more material and to actually enhance their stories. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now, what's really impressive about Trey and Matt is that, for those of you that do not know and are not aware about this, they can make these events and/or episodes pretty fast. I mean, the episodes, they make them at a very rapid rate. The events, they like to take more of their time with because they want to really make sure that it's going to flow properly for 40 plus minutes long in length, and to really make that something that is going to make fans wanting to come back. Kind of like what happened with the streaming wars and how everyone is screaming and wanting for a part 3. Now, this is one thing that has been going on behind closed doors at South Park Studios between Parker, Stone, and the heads over there, and what's really going on with their new take on Disney. Let's discuss. Now, we already know that Panderverse was just the beginning, alright? We know that the return of Mr. Mouse is also in the cards, as well as a parody of Steamboat Mickey for 2024 once he enters the public domain. That's also going to be pretty much the focus of their upcoming follow-up. Let's get into the details, though. Now, with South Park already doubling down to take down Disney in the best way possible with future parodies in the works, one major development has to do with what South Park Studios recently greenlit behind the scenes that will be made available by next year. As it turns out, one plan that is now moving ahead by both Parker and Stone is of course for the third part of the Panderverse event that will be a conclusion that will be released in the near future that is planned to continue the plotline of the multiverse. The general idea right now that was approved by Paramount to conclude the story is to create a full-fledged parody of mocking multiple versions of Mickey Mouse from different eras, and that both Parker and Stone are already in the process of bringing Walt Disney himself into the storyline for himself to realize what has happened to his company over the years in this particular universe that will be made as a parody in this event. It's unclear how Parker and Stone will be bringing in Walt, other than the fact that he will be central to the parody. In addition to this, multiple versions of Snow White will also be central to the other story, of course, where the 1937 version, Rachel Zegler's, Brett Cooper's, and other Snow Whites will be mocked in the final part of the Panderverse event trilogy planned out right now. Both Trey and Matt are coming at full speed to expose the drama and controversy surrounding Rachel Zegler, as well as there are plans to also create a parody version of her as an actress. Now, let me just pause here, guys. The fact that Trey and Matt are going this far to include Walt Disney himself in the final part, the conclusion of the Panderverse storyline of this parody on Disney, to kind of make him central to the mockery of what Disney has become, really makes you wonder, like I said before, how are they going to bring Walt into the equation? Is it going to be a Walt Disney from a different universe? Are they really going to go as far to bring him back to life? That might be a little sensitive for people, who knows? I'm not quite sure how people stand with that. But what's interesting about Parker and Stone is the fact that they are really going all out on ways to really create a parody, not just on Disney, but Mickey Mouse and even Snow White. And speaking about Snow White, there's a lot more to talk about in just a second. Now, the thing about Rachel Zegler is that her controversy was so large, it was all mainstream. All the mainstream media was actually covering the whole Snow White drama, everything that Rachel Zegler talked about, Snow White 1937 and Andrew Burnap. It got so severe to the point that Disney did indeed drop her from multiple projects, and we have a lot more updates on that as well, by the way. The fact that Bob Iger and the board of directors, we talked about this previously, that they are trying to do whatever they can to find something on South Park Studios, legally speaking, to get them and to really prevent them from doing anything further, it goes to show you how desperate Disney has become. And we honestly have seen what Disney has been doing with the Florida state and what they're trying to do currently. There's a lot of things happening with that too. But moving onwards, to top things all off here, Mr. Mouse is planned to be the spotlight of this parody and will be voiced yet again by Trey Parker himself. They are planning to make the final part of Panderverse slightly longer than the 2 parts coming before it to close it off effectively, with Trey and Matt officially moving onwards with continued use of mocking Disney and their woke agenda. The drama surrounding Rachel Zegler will also be addressed sometime next year in this conclusion that is already mapped out by South Park Studios. Bob Iger and the Disney board are aware about their push for parodies against Disney, and they are not liking it one bit and are doing everything in their power to prevent South Park from moving forward with exposing them as a company. In light of all of this, Disney is still not backing down, mind you, on its DEI agenda one bit, with race swapping and gender swapping at the forefront of their plans for movies like Hercules, Sword in the Stone, The Black Cauldron, and even remakes of Alice in Wonderland and Cinderella are also in the works right now. So yes, guys, we talked about this too, Bob Iger's statement or his comment about quieting down the noise. It was all nonsense. It meant absolutely nothing more than the fact that he was stringing along the shareholders and the public until you get to that last earnings call, which by the way is on November 9th, where he's going to be shedding more light on his concerns with the company and whether or not those concerns are about anything in the long term or in the short term. And we know that Bob Iger loves to say that he's never concerned about the current status of Disney in the long term. He will never admit about that. He will only admit that he has hit a small bump in the road in the short term, and that they have a very likely scenario of recovering next year and beyond. This is exactly, by the way, why they are looking to rebooting the Marvel Cinematic Universe by bringing back the characters that are beloved the most. So this is interesting, the fact that we got people like Parker and Stone, South Park Studios, even the Daily Wire, all going against Disney, and more studios are going to begin to follow. I would not be too surprised, if SNL does some kind of a parody on Disney or something going on there. The fact that if SNL were to do something like that, and if they were to break away from making fun of Disney and not really fence riding on that, that would be historic. I think it really would be a big imprint into what Disney has been doing and what they plan to do in the next couple of years. So again, we know that Bob Iger has no plans to stop with these agendas, nor does Kathleen Kennedy. They are all doubling down on all of this nonsense with DEI. I am glad that people like Trey and Matt exist, and that they have a platform like South Park, via Comedy Central, via Paramount Plus, and just putting it out there, and getting regular normies involved to really kind of wake up and realize what Disney is doing. So, anyway guys, drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.